Hey, it's Trey Wingo from NFL Live. Reddit? Ask me anything. Well, that's a very contemplative question, Joey. There's been a bunch of those, actually. When Magic Johnson was HIV positive, that was tough. Bob Lee and I did SportsCenter after 9/11 for a week. We were the only guys on the air. That was a tough day. Going into work that day, I remember the planes had just hit the towers, and I'm driving into work thinking, why am I going to work? Who cares about sports today? But in a lot of ways, I think sports was a very cathartic thing for the country to try and get past what had happened. And that Sunday after 9/11, they didn't play, and then they played the next week, which is actually, incidentally, when the first Super Bowl was played in February because of that extra week, and now it's played every year in February. But that was a tough day, and we didn't know what we were going to do for most of the day, whether or not we were going to be on the air, just cede our channel and our airtime to ABC News. And, we eventually decided to chronicle how it affected sports, and it was a difficult thing, but I think it was the right thing to do. And it was great to be there with Bob doing it. That's a good question, Von Titrio. Is that Von Titrio, right? Von Titrio. Well done. I think the biggest takeaway that I've taken away from this past season is there's still lots of ways to win in the NFL. I mean, we're in this sort of era where it's all about offense and everything is, geared toward the offense. Well, the number one defense in the NFL is playing on Super Bowl Sunday. And the Carolina Panthers defense, although not as talked about as much as the Denver Broncos, their defense is stellar as well. So I think that, this is a league that constantly evolves, and things that worked like 2 or 3 years ago don't work suddenly anymore. Like a lot of the plays the Broncos used to run in their old offense, those little bubble screens and those crossing routes underneath where Peyton sliced people up with 55 touchdown passes a couple of years ago. Defenses have caught on to that. And so I think the defense actually now, despite the rules that favor the offense, have sort of gotten a head up on how to play some of these things. I think the offense now on the offensive side of the ball and coordinators everywhere are going to have to come up with a new way to put wrinkles in that the defense hasn't already adjusted to. So that defense is really taking a big part of winning championships again. I think that's the biggest thing I've taken away from it. Oh, and, football's fun. Well, I consider you all my children, and I want to shepherd you through the great experience as much as I can. And if in any way, in these very paternal tones that I'm dropping now, I can help you along your journey to become a great fake NFL owner, I've done my job. Well, lamest username. Actually, that was one of them. I was going to go lamest username. Just never really caught on. I'm disappointed about that. I'm not a catchphrase guy because I like to come up with something new every time. So to me, catchphrases can kind of be like a crutch. I got nothing else to say boom shakalaka, so I try and do a little differently. OB, you got it. Your Reddit shout out will be there. I'm assuming that's what you meant by us. So Reddit. It's an excellent question. We were actually just talking about that, weren't we? I'm breaking down the wall. I'm going behind to see there's people here in the room that we were talking about. It's a three-way tie between myself, Teddy, and Stink, Mark Schlereth. The Princess Bride episode of NFL Live was one of my favorite shows of all time because it was completely organic. How it got started was Teddy Bruschi was talking about the Seahawks cornerbacks, and he called them COUSs, cornerbacks of unusual size. And Mark and I picked up on that immediately, rodents of unusual size from The Princess Bride and The Fire Swamp, and we started dying laughing. So for the next 30 minutes, all we were trying to do was come up with as many references to The Princess Bride in the show as we could. And it wasn't planned, it wasn't rehearsed, it just sort of happened, and that's what made it great. We weren't trying to do it, it just sort of happened. And then it became a competition. As Schlereth likes to say, if you don't know the game, you are the game. So it was literally each one of us trying to get one more in before the show ended. It was great. Rohid, the funniest person at ESPN, is a very hard thing to answer because there are lots of different kinds of humor at ESPN. I personally think Kenny's great. Kenny and I did shows together for a lot of years. We did the 6 o'clock Sports Center. We did the overnight Sports Center. They had to stop doing the overnight Sports Center with us because that was the show that used to air constantly all morning long. And Kenny would make me laugh so often that we'd have to stop and fix it. So everybody hated the fact that I was keeping us up till 3 or 4 in the morning. So we stopped doing that. There's nobody who has a perspective or a sense of humor like Kenny. He's great. No, I'm not very punny. Well, wide receivers are wide receivers. That just came naturally. I mean, they're always open. They always want the ball, and it's never their fault. And we employ a lot of them at ESPN. Chris Carter he loved it. He loved the fact that I refer to them as wide receivers. That's who they are, and they're the show, baby. You know, the way the NFL wants the game to be played, it's all about the passing game. So yeah, that's I was proud of that one. I'm not gonna lie. Last year's Super Bowl was amazing. And I'll give you a quick story. We were I interviewed the MVP after the game, so we have to go downstairs into the room where the guy will come in and do his questions, and then I'll get him for a one-on-one after he does that. But so we're watching the game on a delayed feed, and we were down there as the Seahawks were driving down towards what they thought obviously was going to be the game-winning touchdown, and we heard a huge roar in the stands, and we're like, okay, and we knew it was a large Seahawk audience, so that led us to believe something good was happening for the Seahawks. Then we saw the feed, and it was that amazing catch by Kearse where he's falling down and makes the catch, and then a few plays later we heard another roar, but it didn't sound like the last roar. So we said, that sounds like maybe something good happened for the Patriots. And about 5 or 6 seconds later on the feed that we were watching, we saw the interception. So that game was great, but just to give you an insight of how it works when you're trying to cover the game, you don't get to see everything live when you need to be down there and doing some post-game stuff. So we actually were feeding off what the audience was telling us by the sounds they were making in the stadium before we actually saw it on the feed downstairs, which was kind of crazy. Okay, NFL community on Reddit, know this much. We do the show because we love it. And we hope that you love watching it as much as we love doing it, because if this were just a job, I couldn't do it. You have to have passion for what you do. And all of us that put together NFL Live on a daily basis feel very passionate about the job we do. And we hope that passion comes through, and that's why you like watching the show. So thanks very much, and blessings upon you.